why, why, and this applies to a lot of things in life, why we can't cancel snail mail. I've been saying this back when the only thing we did was actually mail. Hey, Johnny Sapphire, good to see you, bro. I've been saying this since way back when we actually only did things by snail mail. Pre-digital, back in the old school analog linear days. But there's a whole bunch of value to still using snail mail in an intelligent way. And that's what today is about. Good to see you, brah. Again, guys, if you haven't joined the mailing list, make sure you just go to kevinewest.com and click on the business coach thing there and fill in your name and stuff and get added to the mailing address. I just send out one newsletter a month now with some key information on it. But mostly, I'll just share and forward the social media to your network because most of you guys who know me know that there usually is at least at minimum, a key nugget or two that maybe you haven't considered, maybe you didn't know, or maybe you have actually forgotten. There's so much information on this profession and this subject of the business of show business. There's a lot we learned way back when and then just forgot to do it now. So, and again, this is being recorded as we're coming slowly out in 2022 from a pandemic. And so that has altered things. But it's also part of the subject of today, you guys, is this. See, so here's the thing. For years, I just got these in the mail. Looky here. Oh, yeah. Power of the Dog, Dope Sick. Why? Because it's award season. That's why. And oddly, people are still sending these because I got them in the mail. There's a couple of things about snail mail, okay? Oh my goodness. Wow, Marina, so great to see you. Again, that's the second week in a row, you guys. We have Kiev in the house. We have Ukraine in the house. I spoke in Kiev about 4 or 5 years ago with regards to my book. So I got people in the Ukraine. So lovely to see you, my dear. So keep in mind that we still get things in the mail. We do. Yes, we all have opted out of mail for a lot of business stuff and but the truth of the matter is we still send stuff. Now, as far as being an actor, being a performer, yeah, we do a lot of stuff by social media now. But our biggest challenge, as we all know, is getting people to pay attention to us. That's why that Oscar phrase of "for your consideration" is so important. So I'm going to share with you a cartoon. It's one of my favorite cartoons of all time that someone drew and wrote, but it completely applies to us as an actor. And here it is. It's just two pictures, right? The first picture, it's one of those before and after cartoons. And the first picture is a guy who walks into a guy's office, and the guy sitting behind the desk has papers piled up all the way up to here. And the guy comes in holding an old school computer and goes, "Hey man, I just got an email." That's the before. Then we come to the after. Guy comes in the office. Guy sitting behind the desk is in front of a laptop and has this very stressed out look on his face. And the person who comes in the office goes, "Hey man, I just got a letter." Okay, here's the point. The point is, guys, we're all human. We all have an ego. We all like to be thought of. And never forget this. Successful people do all the things unsuccessful people aren't willing to do. Now, sometimes we think of that as that's a lifelong mantra, but it's also very circumstantial. And one of the things about snail mail in the actor business space is the fact that we have long since given up on the fact that anybody looks at mail. Guys, that couldn't be further from the truth. Do you want to know one of the great things about mail when we get it? First of all, the mail, U.S. Postal Service in the United States and all postal services around the world, it doesn't matter if it's France or the Ukraine, they have to deliver the mail. So one of the great things about that is it gets delivered. How many times do you send an email now for an electronic submission because you want to get an agent or a manager or you're submitting, and we are left to wonder, did they ever even look at it? Did it just go to spam? This was the same problem back in the day when all we did was mail things to offices. Same problem. You'd send something in the mail, and then we'd want to do a follow-up to it because we wondered if they got it or not because there was so many. But today, what percentage of the agent, manager, or casting communities are actually getting snail mail? Almost none. Hey, my man Rick, what's up, bro? Slickster's in the house, kids. Almost no one gets snail mail anymore, which makes it, by definition, unique. It means you're doing something that most everybody else isn't doing. Now, again, everybody bear in mind, for those who've known me for a long time, I'm not talking about shifting. This is what actors tend to do sometimes. I'm not talking about shifting the balance. Think of it like your diet, right? The way you eat. I'm not talking about suddenly putting 80 or 90% of your actor business marketing efforts into snail mail. No. I'm just saying from a balanced diet standpoint, the idea that we suddenly, because it's the 21st century and now we're 2 decades into the 21st century, the idea that what comes in the mail no longer counts, well, I don't know, then why is the power of the dog sending me a thing? Because they want me to vote for people in this. They want me to be reminded. This is an announcement. It's a form of awareness. Well, goodness gracious. Look at Dope Sick with my man Michael Keaton on there. What is that? That's an image of him. What are we doing, awesome Don? What are we doing in our lives and profession, inclusive of me? No matter how long I've been doing this, no matter how many television shows I've done, it doesn't make any difference. There are still people, there are always going to be people out in your profession who aren't aware of you, who need to be reminded you're still here, who might not be aware of what it is you've been recently doing. What I'm sharing with you is the idea, not the task of creating the snail mail and sending it. That's a whole different subject. But the idea that we have completely dismissed the concept of using the mail to bring attention to yourself, when guess what? They have to deliver it. So even in a pandemic, this is maybe the most important thing I'm going to say today. Even in a pandemic, how many casting directors or people are actually in their office? Even after 2 years, as we're coming up, 3/15 is the 2-year anniversary in the United States of when we shut the country down. But how many people are in their offices? Not that many. But it doesn't make any difference. Because if you send it, and by the way, you don't ever have to put attention casting. Please don't put that on outside of an envelope. Also, please notice, before I get sidetracked, that the size of this is what we used to call a postcard, right? But here's the thing. Just like this came to me, this is what I like to call naked. No, don't use your dirty mind like I do. This is just a naked mailing. That's what it is. It shows up. You can see it from the outside. But when you put an envelope around it, all of a sudden that becomes what I used to always call and have called for 20 some years now, an odd size mailer. Now, when you mix into that odd size mailer using the culture of our lives, and yes, different countries have different people, have different holidays and things, but most countries around the world celebrate Valentine's Day-ish, most celebrate Christmas or the holidays or the Jewish holidays, whatever it may be. We celebrate, obviously, Independence Day. Other countries have their own. But this is why colored envelopes, green in December, brown in November, orange for late October, red. We just had Valentine's Day. Think about this. Think about this showing up at a location in a small red envelope about February 10th. My point to you guys is, what is an old cliche that we have in life? Curiosity killed the cat. But guys, we're human. We're people, man. Since no one sends any mail anymore, we're curious. If you get a little card in the mail that has a return address and it's written to you, your name, here's the point. They are going to open it because we're human. We don't know what it is. We're curious. And the whole goal of doing any form of any marketing for yourself as an actor is to actually want, no different than this right here, you want them to see your name and your face. Whatever you would create in your little design program, whether it's Pages or whatever you may use, it doesn't matter. All you're trying to do is inform someone, hi, I'm here. I'm a product in the marketplace. Doesn't matter what city it is in the world. This is my name. This is my image. I want to make you aware of me. That's the same thing we do in any form of communication. The idea of communication hasn't changed, guys. I'm just sharing with you that the idea that we have ceased the concept of putting something in the mail. I know that the process today seems arduous, but guys, honestly, it's really not. You just buy online now a box of 4x6 envelopes, really cheap. Have them shipped to your house. It just shows up. You can use that printing service. I don't know why I just blanked on the place that prints postcards, business cards. They're great. I don't know why I just blanked on it, but the big national one that does stuff really cheap. You don't have to go to any kind of actor printer. You can just get them to print it for you. I'm sure maybe it'll come to me at some point, or someone will think of that place, in the U.S. that prints stuff for really cheap. But you can print these things really simply, and then I'm not talking about sending hundreds and hundreds. I'm never that guy. I'm talking about sending 3, 4, 5 a week, maybe. But the bottom line is, mail has Vistaprint. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Woo, boy, just went out of the head. Vistaprint. They'll do a postcard of any kind. They don't care what's on it. So the truth of the matter is, if you send it because you know a television show is on a particular network, all you have to do is call the network, look on IMDb Pro, find out, hey, this is awesome. We are internet. We got Paris and we got France and Ukraine in the house. I love this. All you have to do is just determine and know, which is not hard to do using the internet now, which studio, which network, whomever, basic location. All you have to do is just make one phone call and go, what's the production building that so-and-so's in? And they'll tell you. You just put it on the envelope. It doesn't matter whether or not the casting person's actually physically there. That's the beauty of snail mail. Because once it gets delivered, you don't necessarily, or probably shouldn't necessarily care when they see it. All you would have to care about is knowing that they're going to see it. Because we have a fiduciary responsibility to deliver mail. And so if this person just has a couple of pieces of mail that they've gotten in the last month, they're going to open it. And that's all you want them to do. You just want them to open it. And Dawn's going, Fiverr is great too. Yes, it is. Yes, all of those help entities in terms of designing things are certainly available, Dawn. Absolutely. But that's one of the great things about using snail mail today, is that no one does it. So there's not a big pile. Think about our end, right? It's arduous on our end, but what about their end? It used to be arduous when we would get a whole bunch of mail. We're like, oh my God, I got to go through all this crap. But now there's not very much to do. There's not very much to go through for them. They don't get a lot, man. And so if they don't get a lot, you already know they're going to open it, because that's what curiosity is. If you add the colored envelope to it, if you add red to this in February and green to this in December and red, white, and blue if you're in America in July, or any other form of the colors, it's going to get open. And what you want them to do is name, face, name, face, name, face, name, face. We're a product. We're an image. That's what we're selling. And so you don't know what somebody's looking for. That's one of the great things about this profession. It's also one of the most frustrating things about this profession is we don't know. Oop, pencils out, look out. We don't know what kind of white guy they're looking for. And they may decide they don't want a white guy. They put a white guy in the breakdowns, and then unbeknownst to us, they changed it to an African American or to an Asian American or something else. That happens. They change it to a female. That happens too. But that's not the issue of why we send stuff. From a marketing standpoint, yes, you can send for a specific role. Absolutely. What's up, Turkish? You can send something for a role specifically. Sure, 100%. You could be doing that. Personally, for Kevin, and I get asked this all the time because I've been doing this for so long. I've been in this profession for so long and worked in it for so long, all the way from back in the late 80s to today. The bottom line is, I get asked all the time, how would you do snail mail today? I don't know that I would use snail mail as much today in television as I would have 25 years ago. I would still use it in film because typically, not always, there's very little that's 100% in this profession or life. But typically films have a little more time between the time you may see a notification in an electronic portal or be aware of a project being done. There's usually a little more time from then to actually casting, whereas television's on an 8-day schedule. It's just going through like making cars in Detroit, man. They're just on an assembly line. 8 days, 8 days, 8 days, 8 days. Commercials, obviously, even shorter. So I'm much more, from a concept and philosophy standpoint, I'm much more about using snail mail as a form of awareness. Them being aware of you in your marketplace. I don't care if it's Minneapolis, Dallas. I don't care if it's the south of France. It doesn't matter to me whether it was Lviv or Kiev. Say that, Marina, that was for you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Stockholm or Gothenburg. It doesn't make any difference. Whatever area you're in, whomever is on the other side of the desk. This is why y'all got to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go to The Kevin E and make sure you subscribe to my Instagram here. Get your friends on there. It doesn't matter. What you want them to do is be aware of you. And the biggest frustration that we tend to have in this profession is we don't know what they need when they need it. You're right. We don't. And even sometimes when they list what they need or what they supposedly want or what they're looking for, it changes. It's not accurate. This is why emotionally and psychologically, setting yourself up to be frustrated by what you don't know is not going to help you in this profession. It's only going to serve to frustrate you more. And I don't want it to frustrate you more. My whole goal since the day I founded the Actors Network was to have this profession and the pursuit of making money at it be something that feels a little bit easier, even though none of it is easy. It's frustrating. But that's the same as being single or being taken. I mean, I make dating jokes all the time, and I also make dating analogies all the time. Trying to market ourselves as actors is the same as marketing yourself as a single person, because it's not uncommon that the person you're interested in, all the way from high school to today, There's a lot of times there are two boats passing in the night. Somebody you're interested in then had a boyfriend or girlfriend, and the reverse and vice versa. And every time you run across them in life, it's bad timing and you never have a chance to get together. That's the same thing that happens in acting. You don't necessarily know whether an agent or manager just signed somebody yesterday that's your type. You don't know that. But you can't concern yourself with that because you're never going to have that answer, y'all. None of us are. I can't. The only thing I can do is if I specifically knew about something at that moment, just like you, I could tell somebody, hey, I know they're looking for literally you, and that's part of what we did at the Actors Network. I'm a huge advocate of sharing that kind of information because I'm not Dawn, I'm not Mike, I'm not Marina, I'm not Slickster, I'm not these folks. So I'm happy to tell you about something I'm aware of. But without that being available, the idea that snail mail can't be effective in 2022 is just bullshit. Of course it can be, because it's going to get delivered, and eventually, whether someone's in the office or not because we're coming out of the COVID pandemic, doesn't matter. This could have been 5 years ago. It can be 5 years from now when you watch this. We won't be in a pandemic, so it doesn't make any difference. The bottom line is we live in a world today where there is very, very, very little mail coming through anymore. I mean, oh my God, if I just look back 10 years ago at the amount of mail I used to get versus the amount of mail I get today, whatever I get today, unless I know 100% it's junk mail because of how it looks on the outside, I'm opening it up. That's why when you send this stuff with an envelope and you don't make it something that's obvious by sending it naked, right, as a postcard, yeah, you pay full price for the stamp, but isn't it worth knowing they're going to open it? Because they're curious, man. Gotta use your own psychology and your own normal, the way you think. You've got to use that to your advantage. We have to. Because otherwise it's just too hard for us. And that's what you have to trust and know about snail mail. There's a curiosity killed the cat, man. And again, I'm a big advocate of this, obviously, for those who know me. And you'll find this over the course of time in all the videos. Everybody understand what I'm doing on the YouTube channel, especially for those here and especially for those who weren't members of the Actors Network, like Lauren or other people. I mean, I'm basically going to build on the YouTube channel the greatest encyclopedia library in the history of the business of show business. That's what I'm going to do. It's what I'm in the process of doing. Over the course of this calendar year, 2022, by the time I'm done, there'll probably be around 850 videos on that channel in the ballpark. I've already met people who know me know. I took a lot of time off after I closed the Actors Network, and I've already been mapping that out. So again, I encourage you to reach out to your network of people and get them here, because one of the things I'm going to do on IG Live, I'm going to do a lot of these early on. I'm going to do, probably a good 3 or 4 weeks of covering a particular subject. But one of the most important things that I always found that we did at the Actors Network were power groups and issue time. And issue time really is just what I call showbiz scenarios. They're just moments in time of things that affect just us. It's a thing that's happening, some question that you have about a scenario. And I'm going to be doing expertise coaching live right here on how you handle those scenarios. So that's going to get mixed into IG Live. I'm going to take every piece of what the Actors Network was and its value and bring as much of it as I can through the portal using technology to our advantage. But today is about anti-technology. And I'm just begging you guys, you don't have to send them all the time. But start rethinking, reinstituting snail mail in an odd-sized mailer format back into your life, because everybody who knows me knows that I'm a huge advocate of mailing things to directors and producers. 100%. And today, writer, producers, whomever it may be. Absolutely. And again, They never get anything from actors. I mean, I use the word negative, never, but 99.9% of the time, actors are not sending them stuff. And the bottom line is, we should, because once again, it stands out. Successful people do all the things unsuccessful people don't want to do. So by all means, put that in there. Does anybody have a question before we finish up? Got about 3 minutes left. Taking a sip of coffee. Does anybody have a question about snail mail? Dawn, it does work. Yeah, believe me, I know it does. That's for sure. And we have IMDb. I mean, the ability to do research today and be able to get just the base information you need to send something via snail mail is really pretty easy. I made a joke last week that sitting across the studio here from me is the last printed version of the Hollywood Creative Directory. And I would probably tell you that because of the Hollywood Creative Directory, probably more than half, probably 2/3, probably 66% of that book, which hasn't been printed in 10 years, that's 2011 sitting up there, 10 years, probably 2/3 of that book is still accurate. Because they're studios and the networks. They aren't necessarily people in them, but that stuff's not hard to research, guys. All you have to do is when you watch your favorite show or your favorite 3 or 4 shows you'd like to be on, just pay attention to the studio, just pay attention to the network, and just pay attention to the names that are the producers and executive producers. That's all you have to do. Even if a lawyer sends it back. That's funny, Don. Most of the time, again, if you don't say in care of, and you just have the name and the street and possibly a suite number or a building number and the city and zip right, wherever you live, it is going to get delivered to the person you want it delivered to. And that, today, for snail mail, is probably even more assured than sending an email. That's for sure. Okay, guys, that's going to wrap up Don't Cancel Snail Mail here on Wednesday, Feb 16, 2022. And I hope you guys all had a good Valentine's Day, if that applies to you. See you on Friday, 9 a.m. Don't miss. Okay, see you guys soon.